Greetings and welcome to Faction Masters Season 6, Game 13. For this second round game, we'll be bringing you the Tundra Orcs, played by Nesle, and the Sand Goblins, piloted by Massimo. And I'm joined by our resident Tundra Orcs champion and expert, Nesle. Thanks for coming on with us.
Hello. I'm glad to be here again.
So, what's the gameplay here? It looks like we've got power versus mobility, maybe, or power versus reach, depending on how you look at it.
Depending on how you see Sand Goblins, they are kind of a trash bag, and they just do whatever they want, you know. But yeah, this is a pretty interesting matchup, I would say. I haven't played it a whole bunch, so I'm not too comfortable with it necessarily, but I think the general game plan, usually, with how I've played this matchup, is just, get some early gates and put some early pressure on the Sand Goblins, and, try to kill everything they summon. Their champions can be really very strong, and the Rust Riders can, just be good tanks, but I do a lot of damage, as in Tundra Orcs do a lot of damage. They're, with For Glory and Smashers and everything in their toolkit, they just can kind of dish out enough damage to kill everything that the opponent plays. But here I kind of went for a little more unconventional playstyle. You'll see in a bit. But yeah, in general, I think this is a matchup I could explore more, honestly. And I've kind of taken the liberty of trying out something different this game.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Let's get things started here. You do have the first action. Grognak is keeping a safe distance. Just focus on the Rust Rider.
I probably would have charged in turn 1 if I had like a gate, but not such luck.
You're not going to re-roll the 1 damage because it could end up being 0.
Yeah, there's certainly a point in time where I would have re-rolled it, but I've learned my lesson.
Okay, I usually re-roll if it's 1, but I'm sure I have a lot to learn. We've got early thruster upgrade on the gate.
Yep.
Good for Sand Goblins.
Those are always scary to see early.
And he's keeping everything in a line.
Yep, I did kind of send that fighter to like die there, so I'm not too surprised they die. I'm at least happy the shaman lives. Here I'm like still taking my time, sitting back, just killing the units he sends at me, hoping to just poke him from afar.
Massimo built nothing for magic on that last turn. That surprised me a bit. Kept everything.
That was kind of surprising, especially since I like did the opposite basically.
Yeah, I saw you dumped your hand. Well, you played 2, I guess. Yeah,
I think I discarded 2 or 3 cards.
It looks like 2. But yeah, it was.
I was annoyed to see that. Yeah, I was annoyed to see that Ranch Rat hitting 2 for 2 because the game is pretty far in range, and that shaman dying. I don't have too many of them in my deck. But yeah, here I got Targan. She was in my starting hand, so I wanted to see how she would fare against Sand Goblins. Because in the few games that I played in this matchup, I always feel like Targan was always good. So here I just decided to get her out early since she was in my starting hand. And even didn't place that gate that forward. I just tried to sit more back and, play a more ranged game. Unfortunately, here I didn't have a great hand, so I just kind of took a turn to discard a bunch. you can pause for a second here. Actually,
Yeah.
I want to talk a bit about what I drew. So uh, I know we're seeing Massimo's hand, but I have a tab open with my hand. My
Okay.
starting hand consisted of all units. It was a Charger, a Smasher, Ragnar, Fighter, and Targan.
Mm.
I was kind of reluctant to discard a bunch early because of that, but I did because I wanted to get Targan out early. And in my second hand, I drew a For Glory and another Smasher. So my hand is looking pretty expensive on turn 2 and 3. I have like 2 Smashers, a For Glory, and Targan, and I only had 4 magic at that point. I did have a Charger, but one Charger is not going to make up for playing For Glory. And that's fine so far. I do have to discard a lot of units because of that, and I'm not always too happy to discard Smashers, but it's fine. But in my next turn, I discarded a bunch, and my hand consists at this point of 2 For Glories, a Freeze, Primal Fury, and a Smasher.
Oh.
So unfortunately, even though For Glory is a strong event, that's for sure, I do not recommend keeping 2 of them in your hand basically ever, unless your hand is like 2 For Glories and 3 Chargers or something like that, which it wasn't. My hand was pretty event heavy at that point, and I just decided to. Actually, I'm not sure if I discarded them at the end of this turn or at the end of the next one, but I just discarded 1 For Glory, 1 Primal Fury, and a Freeze. A Freeze for obvious reasons. But I felt like Primal Fury, I'm not using Grognak here a lot, so I'd rather discard it. He's still going to have to play around it, even if I play the other one, because, there's 2 in my deck. He doesn't know why I discard. And the same goes for Glory, so I'm not too sad about it, but I did have to discard a For Glory, which is never, too good.
Yeah.
All right.
It is funny to start with too many units and then very soon end up with too many events.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I'm not too annoyed about that, but it certainly. I guess it maybe should have slowed me down more, but I just started discarding all of it because with Tundra Orcs, sometimes you can just discard it pretty aggressively, not just because you are rushing at your opponent and need to get your gates out early or something like that, but because also you have amazing champions, so you know that magic that you are getting will get spent on some good champions. Now, I did ditch Ragnar early on, unfortunately, but, there's still Smashers in the deck and whatnot. So hopefully I'm going to be able to utilize my magic still.
Okay. And as far as the Sand Goblins super gate here, I feel like you need to chip away at it until you can burst it down. It's so annoying to, see it get low and then he'll detonate and bring it back over and over with all the trimmings, the 2 wrench rats in it, the thrusts, all the cards under it.
Yeah, for sure. And Thunder Orcs are not a faction that's going to have too much of an issue dealing enough damage to destroy that front gates. I'm not too afraid about it. I'm just more looking about how I can kill it as fast as possible. So Targan took 1 chip damage on it, but so far, he's keeping it there. I might get some good combo to kill it, but it's looking pretty safe for now.
Okay. Well, let's resume. It seems like Massimo is really wow. They're really going to keep it safe, retreating all the way back.
Well, the funny thing is that it's still not safe, actually.
Oh, I think I see what you have planned. Deliberately letting the Charger die. Very nice. I like this.
This is a common trope with Thunder Orcs. You often put like a Charger in front and then attack with a Shaman behind after the Charger dies. And it's just a nice way of doing a lot of damage in one line. And I just decided to go for it here. The Shaman rolled well. I would have accepted even if he did 4 damage to himself, but doing 4 damage to the gate and to himself was, and not to himself was amazing.
Yeah, very nice. It makes a very awkward move for Sand Goblins the next turn.
Yep, at this point he's just playing building out his units because he's not going to be able to summon them anywhere. I do have to wiggle Targan over to do something, but she will get there eventually. Unfortunately, didn't get the kill on that Bugbiter, but at least it will die after it crashes.
Yeah. Now he's going to try to put a little pressure on Grognak here. But there's nothing...
Yeah.
There's nothing for him to summon. No structures.
Yep, exactly. I was happy to see him not having any gates early on. I was a little surprised that he used Burn Hot just to get some damage on Grognak. I know that in general, Sand Goblins players don't like doing that. At least, when they're playing at their fullest.
I do it all the time, but I'm a bit more reckless. And you can see he's dumped his entire hand except for Silts. I wonder what he burned. That's the 10 gate. Oh, we don't get to see. We don't get to see in the replay. It's hidden from us. Maybe we can use process of elimination to figure out what it was. I thought we would get to see it, but that information was not sent in the game, so it was something.
It was...
Finally gets a gate
here,
I
was hoping that it was something important.
All right, we'll continue.
They have a gate and 10 magic, so that gate is gonna come in strong. Now here made a slight mistake. I blood rushed the charger so I could move Grognak, but I totally forgot to move Grognak.
Oops.
So I don't have a boost there. But yeah, I get an offensive gate and can just start doing some, posing a real threat to Krask here.
Or not, as the case may be. No damage yet, but yeah, forward gate definitely needs to be dealt with. He can put a Bugbiter down and a gate,
and especially since he...
Yeah.
Other than that Bugbiter and that gate, he doesn't have too many stuff in his hand that he can build. So,
Right.
Those 2 champions are gonna come in strong once they hit the field, but still.
But could you kill the gate before he gets a chance?
Maybe if I didn't draw a second for glory so early, but unfortunately I don't think there is a great way of doing it here.
Okay.
I guess I could have killed my own charger and then attacked with Targan from behind. I just didn't feel like that was going to be good enough.
Okay.
Especially since I can just hit Krask for melee.
Yeah. Shaman's having some trouble.
As shamans do.
As shamans do, right. Good time for Silts. It's always a good time for Silts, but especially
now
this.
It's great time for Silts.
Yeah.
And even for that mortar is going to do a lot this turn. As long as he hits at least 1 melee with the Bugbiter, it's going to kill 2 things. Yeah, he opted to first shoot with the mortar here and then exchange Silts and Krask.
Ooh. To Krask down to 4, that's pretty low.
That's a smasher one-shotting them, or for glory shaman.
Yeah, I
would
have taken the damage on Silts. I feel like 4 is... I mean, he does have Clink in hand, but how many times will Clink heal? Once? Twice? Maybe? Before dying?
Yep. Here, I was hoping to get 4 out of 4 with Targan. Obviously, it's really low odds, but I do have a reroll.
Not this time.
Yep. It's fine, it was low odds. I'm not too annoyed about that.
Got a frenzy? That's helpful. If you get enough frenzies, you can win on this turn. Just frenzy into the back row and
Yep.
oh, that's the end of that.
The story of Thunder Fighters. If you get enough
Yes.
frenzies, you'll win the game. If now here I'm in a kind of tough spot. He has a lot of. He has two champions, and with carry, they're just going to keep being safe. And especially with Silt here at 5 health, if Silt was like at 4, like if that mortar hit him early, I would have probably tried to just one-shot him with a Smasher. But unfortunately, now I have to. Any Smasher that I send to attack him will just die
Yeah.
and not finish him off. So I'm kind of in a tough spot here. Here he made a slight mistake, not a big one, but he mortared after killing with Clink. This is something that he mentioned after the game. If he had first mortared and then attacked with Clink, that rider would be at 5 health, because Clink would have repaired them.
Right.
And it does matter, because Death Smasher is going to hopefully one-shot them.
Yeah, order of operations, it makes a difference. Well, he's doing a good job sticking to your walls, making it hard for you to summon anything.
Yeah, that's... I probably should have placed those gates a bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to annoy me more now than him necessarily. He does destroy this one, so...
Yeah. It can be difficult when your summoner has a little bit less mobility like Grognak to get forward gates in a good place, but also protect the summoner as he pushes forward.
Yep, that's for sure.
So Massimo is decked
I feel
out,
like in general
but
there's...
he does have 2 champions with a 3rd on the way.
Exactly. So it's not like he's out of steam yet. Not even close. I do have a few more cards in hand, but those cards are a lot of commons and a Shrunk, I think. Which, the Shrunk is a saving grace there if the game goes on long enough.
Yeah.
But still, I do not feel like I'm in a good spot anymore. Especially with Clink getting to kill so much units. Like, she is getting a lot of value.
Absolutely.
Remember when Trustpot is 4 health?
Yeah, there's three heals. I presume this is going to be another one here. I think with swords you can't miss. So yeah.
Yep. So he's at 7 health now.
This is where Grognak needs to say, "Fine, I'll do it myself."
Not yet.
Okay.
He's with 9 health, and with cards that I have in my deck, I am like waiting for a perfect moment. I'll not spoil anything too.
Okay. Well, I have a guess, but I'll keep it to myself.
You probably have a good guess.
Well, there's only 4 events in the deck, so it's some combination of those 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here I was really annoyed to see Uncle Spark, honestly. I was hoping that he burned hot through him, or, mortar or anything. And just seeing him basically meant to me that I'm not winning this game in a, I'm not winning a long game. And you can pause after this turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, I think there was a point where this game looked like decently well for me, but at this point, like, look at what he has in the field. There's all champions and Krusk, and they aren't even that low in health. Slits is one of them, and Slits is amazing. in general, I don't think I have much of a chance here because, every with everything that he has, I doubt I'll be able to even reach Krusk necessarily. So here we were like making turns really quickly here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was basically watching him make his move. And the second that the move ended, I was annoyed that he killed the shaman here because I only had a few left in the deck. And, seeing as I can't necessarily push too much into him, or else, the horde of champions that he has will kill me. I was kind of annoyed by that, but in general, like, I ended the turn and I was thinking for a second of like what I can do, uh, and then I saw the D play. Uh,
Oh.
I can tell you what cards I had in my hand, but can
Oh,
you guess like what it is just
I'm
from
gonna
this?
guess. I'm gonna guess right now. I think we're gonna see some brutal force. This fighter is gonna push Grognak forward, and then he's gonna push Krusk back. So eight sword dice on Krusk for the win. Maybe
For the maybe win.
for the maybe win.
Yeah, there's a slightly different play here.
Okay.
If I had a fighter in my hand, I would have done it, but I had a shaman, unfortunately. I could have put the fighter in front of Sparks and pushed Grognak with a shaman,
Mm-hmm.
and then done the same play. And then even if I miss, the fighter could potentially frenzy and kill Krusk anyways.
Nice.
Which, if shamans weren't shamans, I would have gone for that. Or if I had anything else in my hand for that matter, I did have a smasher, but I only had 2 magic, unfortunately. So if I had a fighter, I would have just done that instead. But even like this, I looked up the odds. The odds are 60%, and I don't think I'm winning. Even though I have like Shonk in my hand, Shonk is really good, but still, I would still have to make magic for him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I am being granted a lot of magic. He has 3 champions and a full health Rust Rider. There's 2
Yeah.
almost dead gates, but that's only 2 magic, and I'm starving for magic at this point. So I don't think I'd want to discard a lot of cards from my hand, and this just seemed like the best chance for me to win. Because in general, I don't think I have a better shot in the long game. So yeah.
All right. Let's roll the tape. See what we get. Okay.
So the play is exactly what I said.
Okay. So I think 60%. I would take 60% in a game like this for sure. That's pretty good odds compared to trying to slog it out. Okay, we got the first 4 for 4. Now we only need 3 more.
That's an 85% chance.
Odds are better. Oh boy, there it goes.
Even if like Uncle Sparks wasn't there, I would have attacked again with a shaman. So it was slightly unfortunate, but
Yeah.
at this point, I don't think I have much of a shot. Even if he doesn't kill me here,
Yeah.
like what am I going to hope and pray?
He will be far away. If somehow you survive, you won't be in a position to reach Krusk. Yeah. Oh, only one. Maybe you'll live one more turn. Oh, there it is. All right, that's game. Very interesting. Yeah.
I like to think that he attacked with Clink last intentionally, so he would end with 2 health.
Yes. Although I have noticed that the game doesn't do that. As soon as a summoner dies, it just stops calculating anything else and just immediately ends. I think the only situation where you can choose whether a summoner dies first, is if both summoners would die, and then you could pick which one dies first and get the win on your own turn. Like if a mortar effect or something like that. So, yeah, wow, really, really fun game. Very well played. Didn't quite work out in the end, but it was a very entertaining finish.
Yep. It was fun for sure, and like a little nerve-wracking near the end, but still.
I just think this shows. Oh, go ahead. I'm going to rewind a bit to the
No,
point where
go
he
ahead.
had no gates. I had a game that where I was playing Sand Goblins a while back in a similar situation where I had no gates, almost no units, and my opponent had a lot of stuff on the board, and somehow through the power of silts being silts, as well as being able to summon Rust Riders and Bug Biters on the board, somehow came back and won. Sand Goblins are just really hard to finish off sometimes.
Especially if like Krusk has a thruster as well, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They do have like, an insane amount of buildings to, I mean, structures to put around Krusk when he's in a tough spot. And even if not, you can just carry a bunch of guys with you to be your personal bodyguards, basically.
Yeah, that's something that I really need to get better at, is using the carry ability, because I often forget about it. Massimo did a great job using it here to maneuver his units, always getting the heal on Krusk. There was that one moment where he did things a bit out of order and didn't heal the Rust Rider, but great use of the carry ability.
I think carry is pretty strong, especially if you have a pretty empty board, because then your few units that you do have on the field are going to really matter.
Yeah.
Especially with Silts. Silts, he's already insane, but if you can carry him, that just increases his range a bunch more, and your summoner has to be way more wary of him.
Yeah. Yeah, Silts is pretty much the best unit in the game, the best unit in Summoner Wars. That's an opinion, but he's definitely up there. He's very good.
The best units in Sand Goblins for sure.
Yeah. But any other final comments for us?
I still think this is like a really cool. Did my mic stop working for a second?
No. Well, maybe. I heard you say still think this is a very cool.
I still think this is a very cool matchup, but it feels really awkward to play it with Thunder Orcs. But I think it was fun to try out a bit more of a ranged game. The reason I went for it is not just because I started the game with Targan. It's the few times other than this game that I played this matchup, I always found that I was winning the end game with Targan, and I just wanted to see if maybe he's the main key there. Which I do feel like I could have played this a bit differently though, especially with that early gate, that gate on the top right.
This one here. Yeah.
It kind of did something in the way that he was more enticed to move to the left side of the board because of it, but I didn't summon anything off of it, I don't think. So I do think I could have played this a bit differently, but it's it doesn't detract from the fun factor of the match. I think it was still pretty interesting to play this game.
Yeah, maybe if you'd put the gate here ahead of Grognak, then that could have been a bit more consequential.
I'm thinking about that. I think the reason why I didn't do that is because he's just going to surround it. But especially with 6 magic, he could have put 2 Rust Riders there.
Yeah.
Which, maybe would have overextended a bit, especially since, since a Charger and Smasher can just surround anything in front of a gate. But I only had 2 magic. It was not that I was
Yeah.
not that threatening. I had to spend a lot of early magic on target, and I'm not too sure if she, made up for her cost, honestly.
Yeah, she didn't get to use the boosting of the shamans. There was a time here. I'm gonna rewind to maybe turn 8 or so. Right here, it's really hard for her to get out and be helpful, even when you are summoning shamans. For Tarkin to make it up here. So this place it's safe, but it's maybe not effective. It's tough, especially against Sand Goblins, to make Tarkin work. But I think it's a good idea. Maybe just needed a bit more refinement.
Yeah, maybe if I didn't start with her in my starting hand, I didn't know that I was going to draw a gate in my second hand. For all I knew, I was going to draw it on like turn 10 maybe. So it's a bit less risky, but less risk, less reward.
Yeah,
I could have played like Ragnar early on instead. There's a few things that I could have done differently, and I'm not denying that.
yeah, yeah.
Funny how the turn that I forgot to boost Grognak, that one damage would have made a difference
Yeah,
if that shaman
it
did
could
one.
have. Yeah.
I guess he wouldn't necessarily have put himself in the same spot that he did, but still.
Yeah. Well, it's been great talking with you. I enjoyed the game. Sorry you didn't get through, but I'm sure we'll see you in the future Faction Masters future seasons as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll try to get in the next season. Maybe not even with just Thunder Orcs. Wink, wink.
You've got some other golden flair here. Polar Dwarves top 10, High Elves top 10. So yeah, see what you can do, or go for all three if you really if you're really up for it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me here, and thanks to all of our viewers. We will see you guys next time for more Faction Masters.